The silent architects. What are archetypes? There is a secret code embedded deep within your psyche, one that predates your birth and exists beyond your personal memories. Carl Jung called this code the collective unconscious, and within it lie archetypes, universal patterns of energy, image, and instinct that shape the very way we see the world. Archetypes are not personalities, they are not habits. They are primordial blueprints, symbols of human experience that echo through every life, across every culture. You see them in myths, religions, fairy tales, and dreams. You see them in the hero, the mother, the sage, the lover, the shadow. They are not created by us. They create us. And yet, we do not see them, because they move beneath our awareness. They influence how we choose partners, how we handle conflict, how we fall in love, how we sabotage ourselves, all without our conscious permission. Jung warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. These patterns are not merely symbolic. They live in your behavior, your reactions, your desires. Each archetype carries its own lesson and its own danger, and among them, 3 are particularly potent in their capacity to possess: the Anima, the Animus, and the Trickster. These are not just psychological forces, they are mirrors. Mirrors that reflect the parts of you you've forgotten, denied, or projected onto others. To meet them is to reclaim lost power, but to ignore them is to live someone else's life. The Anima, she who lives in a man's soul. Within every man lives a silent woman, not of flesh and blood, but of emotion, mystery, and image. She is the Anima, Jung's name for the feminine soul image that dwells in the male psyche. She is the gatekeeper of feeling, intuition, creativity, and illusion. The Anima is not a hallucination. She's an inherited psychic figure, a composite of all the feminine energies a man has witnessed, yearned for, feared, or misunderstood. She is his inner Venus, but also his inner siren. When a man is unconscious of his Anima, she begins to possess him. She whispers through his moods, idealizes the women he meets, blinds him with fantasy, and leaves him addicted to love's illusion rather than love's truth. This is the man who chases the perfect woman, but never meets her, who falls in love with projection, then blames the real woman when she fails to reflect his dream, who feels lost without a muse, depressed when disconnected from beauty, empty when denied emotional depth. But when he faces the Anima, she transforms. She becomes a guide, a wellspring of creativity, a bridge to the unconscious. She teaches him to feel without drowning, to love without clinging, to listen to the inner world without being consumed. Integration of the Anima is not about romance, it's about wholeness. And when a man makes peace with the feminine within, he no longer seeks completion in a partner. He brings completion to the relationship, the Animus, he who speaks in a woman's mind. Just as a man carries the Anima, a woman carries the Animus, the masculine soul image that whispers inside her mind. He appears not as a lover, but as a voice, sometimes seductive, sometimes critical, sometimes uplifting, sometimes tyrannical. The Animus is born from the collective memory of masculine presence, not only through the father, but through teachers, myths, films, lovers, and wounds. He is the inner logos, logic, order, strength, will. He pushes her toward independence, courage, and reason. But when left unconscious, he becomes opinionated, dominating, and cold. He speaks as the inner critic. You're not good enough. You should be more like them. You must achieve to be worthy. He can make her doubt her instincts, mistrust her emotions, and dismiss her intuition in favor of intellectual over-control. Or, in a different form, he may appear in dreams as a series of men, father figures, lovers, warriors, all urging her toward integration. When she is unaware of the Animus, she may project him onto partners, seeking men who validate her inner world or reflect her inner wounds. She may rebel against authority without knowing why. She may feel compelled to argue, to assert, to dominate, not from power, but from possession. But when the Animus is integrated, he becomes her ally. He brings her clarity, direction, and sovereignty. He helps her build inner structure, channel intuition into action, and marry thought with feeling. As Jung said, the goal is not to eliminate the opposite, but to bring it into conscious partnership. In this union, the soul becomes whole. The trickster, the chaos that breaks you. Open the trickster is the most paradoxical of all archetypes. He wears a smile, but not for kindness. He mocks your plans, breaks your ego, and dances in the ruins of your certainty. He is Loki, Hermes, Coyote. And yes, he lives inside you. The trickster doesn't care about your goals, he cares about your growth. And to awaken you, he will disrupt everything you thought was true. You see him in your embarrassing mistakes, your relationship failures, your sudden misfortunes. The moments when life laughs at your seriousness and demands you let go. But make no mistake, the trickster is not your enemy. He is your liberator. He breaks the chains of rigid identity. He exposes the mask you wear. He tricks you into self-awareness through irony, humiliation, or absurdity. He is the one who pushes you to quit the job you hate, who forces the breakup that makes no sense until years later, who whispers, "Burn it down," when your life is built on falsehood. The trickster doesn't want obedience. He wants authenticity. If you fight him, he becomes cruel. If you fear him, he grows in power. But if you embrace his chaos, he becomes your creative ally, the one who reveals the path you never dared to take. To welcome the trickster is to welcome the unexpected, to invite divine disorder into your life, so you may finally live a story that's true, possession or partnership, how to reclaim your inner world. The danger of archetypes is not that they exist, it's that we think we don't, that we mistake them for personality, rather than recognize them as patterns moving through us. When the anima or animus is unconscious, it possesses us. When the trickster is denied, he sabotages us. The goal is not to banish these forces, it is to befriend them, to name them, to see their outlines in your emotions, relationships, reactions, and dreams. Jung's path was never about repression, it was about integration, and integration begins with awareness. Ask yourself, who am I projecting my ideal onto? What emotions overtake me without cause? Where do I sabotage myself, not from logic, but from some deeper hidden pattern? These are the signs that an archetype is at play, and once seen, it loses its power to control you from the shadows. In therapy, in journaling, in dreams, in solitude, you can meet these inner figures, not as enemies, but as ancient guides. They are not here to hurt you. They are here to make you whole. To live a conscious life is to walk side by side with your archetypes, not under their shadow. Jung did not give us a path to perfection. He gave us a path to wholeness. And that path begins with the courage to look within. What is an archetype, really? There is a world inside you that you didn't build, yet it shapes everything you do. A realm beneath thought, beneath memory, beneath identity itself. Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a vast psychic ocean shared by all humanity. And within it swim the great invisible forces he named archetypes. But what is an archetype, really? It is not a stereotype, it is not a personality type, and it is certainly not something you can capture in a checklist. An archetype is a primordial pattern, a timeless blueprint, a universal energy that colors how we feel, think, and behave, often without us ever realizing it. Jung saw archetypes as living symbols, not invented, but inherited. They are as old as myth and as alive as your dreams. They show up in every culture, every story, every sacred text, because they are part of what it means to be human. The mother, the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the lover, the child. These are not characters from fairy tales. They are patterns that live in your psyche and shape how you experience the world. They are emotional instincts wrapped in image. They are the soul's language. You don't choose them. They move through you. You've seen them before, in a sudden longing for something beautiful and mysterious, in an irrational fear of someone who mirrors your own darkness, in the deep sense of déjà vu when you meet someone for the first time but feel like you've known them forever. That's the archetype stirring. It's not just psychology, it's poetry, it's soul memory. Jung believed that archetypes shape not only our personal lives, but also entire societies. They are why myths repeat across time, why ancient gods resemble modern superheroes, why your personal heartbreak echoes 1,000 love stories, Because the form is new, but the pattern is ancient. And here lies Jung's warning. If you remain unaware of these forces, they will possess you. They will run your life from the shadows. You'll think you're choosing, but it's the archetype choosing through you. You'll fall in love with someone who reflects your inner anima or animus, not who they really are. You'll sabotage yourself because the trickster needs to teach you something you're not ready to hear. You'll repeat the same story, the same conflict, the same ending, because the pattern demands it. But the moment you become conscious of the archetype, the spell begins to break. You can work with the pattern rather than be bound by it. What is an archetype, really? There is a world inside you that you didn't build, yet it shapes everything you do. A realm beneath thought, beneath memory, beneath identity itself. Carl Jung called this the collective unconscious, a vast psychic ocean shared by all humanity, and within it swim the great invisible forces he named archetypes. But what is an archetype, really? It is not a stereotype. It is not a personality type, and it is certainly not something you can capture in a checklist. An archetype is a primordial pattern, a timeless blueprint, a universal energy that colors how we feel, think, and behave, often without us ever realizing it. Jung saw archetypes as living symbols, not invented but inherited. They are as old as myth and as alive as your dreams. They show up in every culture, every story, every sacred text, because they are part of what it means to be human. The mother, the hero, the shadow, the wise old man, the lover, the child. These are not characters from fairy tales. They are patterns that live in your psyche and shape how you experience the world. They are emotional instincts wrapped in image. They are the soul's language. You don't choose them. They move through you. You've seen them before, in a sudden longing for something beautiful and mysterious, in an irrational fear of someone who mirrors your own darkness, in the deep sense of déjà vu when you meet someone for the first time but feel like you've known them forever. That's the archetype stirring. It's not just psychology, it's poetry. It's soul memory. Jung believed that archetypes shape not only our personal lives, but also entire societies. They are why myths repeat across time, why ancient gods resemble modern superheroes, why your personal heartbreak echoes 1,000 love stories, because the form is new, but the pattern is ancient. And here lies Jung's warning. If you remain unaware of these forces, they will possess you. They will run your life from the shadows. You'll think you're choosing, but it's the archetype choosing through you. You'll fall in love with someone who reflects your inner anima or animus, not who they really are. You'll sabotage yourself because the trickster needs to teach you something you're not ready to hear. You'll repeat the same story, the same conflict, the same ending, because the pattern demands it. But the moment you become conscious of the archetype, the spell begins to break. You can work with the pattern rather than be bound by it. You can evolve the myth instead of reliving it. To know yourself is not just to understand your past, it is to recognize the invisible storyline you've been living all along, and only then can you begin to rewrite it. This is the beginning. This is the first step toward individuation, the journey to become whole. The archetype you've never met, but it knows you. There is a presence within you, not a ghost, not a voice, but something deeper, quieter, an influence you've never seen, yet it knows you intimately. You've never shaken its hand. You've never spoken its name, but it has whispered in every decision you've ever made. It shapes your longings. It directs your fears. It chooses who you're drawn to and who you run from. Carl Jung called this hidden force the archetype, but not just any archetype, the dominant one in your psychic constellation, the one that most deeply entwines with your identity, the one you mistake for yourself. You don't recognize it because it doesn't show up in words. It shows up in attraction. Why do you fall for unavailable people? Why do you chase danger, or hide from intimacy, or repeat the same emotional loop over and over again? That's the archetype, silently pulling strings in the theater of your soul. It shows up in conflict. Why do you overreact to betrayal? Why does rejection crush you more than it should? Why do you sabotage opportunities that could set you free? Because the archetype remembers something you have forgotten, a wound you never healed, a fear you never faced, a myth you're unknowingly reenacting. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This is his warning, not of monsters or madness, but of sleepwalking through life, possessed by a pattern that is not your own. You may think your personality is unique, that your taste, your type, your triggers, your troubles are all yours. But beneath that personal story lives a much older one. You are not the first to feel what you feel. You are part of something archetypal. You might be living out the hero's journey, endlessly striving to prove your worth. Or you might be caught in the lover's longing, always yearning, never arriving. You might be the orphan, looking for a home in every relationship. Or the rebel, fighting a war long after the enemy is gone. And then there's the Anima, the Animus, and the Trickster, the most elusive of all. They don't just influence how you act, they influence who you are becoming. The Anima seduces a man with visions of the divine feminine and traps him in illusions of love. The Animus fills a woman with grand ideas, but disconnects her from her heart. And the Trickster, he breaks the rules just to teach you the ones you never knew existed. You won't see them unless you're watching. You won't break free unless you wake up. But if you dare to face them, if you bring light to the hidden myth, you don't just change your story. You reclaim your soul. This is the beginning of inner revolution. Not to destroy the archetype, but to meet it, know it, and integrate it, so that it no longer controls you from the dark. Meet the Anima, the inner feminine in every man. Deep within every man lives a woman he's never met. She is not his mother, not his lover. She is older than memory and yet reborn in every heartbeat. She is his Anima, the inner feminine, the soul of his soul. Carl Jung called her the bridge between the conscious man and his unconscious depths. She is not just a symbol, she is a force. She speaks in dreams, appears in fantasies, and dances through the eyes of every woman he's ever loved. And she is powerful, precisely because she is invisible. The Anima is emotion, intuition, vulnerability, sensuality, chaos, and creation. She is not soft, she is not safe. She is the storm and the stillness. And when a man does not know her within, he will seek her without, projecting her onto women in his life, expecting them to carry what he refuses to feel. She becomes his muse. Or his madness. He may fall in love, not with the woman before him, but with the image she reflects back to him. The idealized goddess, the rescuer, the eternal feminine. He doesn't love her. He loves his own longing. This is the danger of the unconscious Anima. She disguises herself as romance, but she is not here to comfort. She is here to transform. Her purpose is not to complete the man, but to lead him inward, into the neglected parts of himself. When repressed, the Anima becomes bitter, manipulative, seductive, even cruel. She turns love into obsession, intimacy into control, emotion into drama. And the man becomes possessed by moods he cannot explain, longings he cannot satisfy. But when a man begins to recognize the Anima within, when he no longer projects her but invites her home, she becomes his guide. He begins to feel not just sentiment, but depth, not just lust, but reverence, not just logic, but soul. She teaches him to listen, not just respond, to receive, not just conquer, to embrace uncertainty, vulnerability, and beauty without control. This is not weakness, this is initiation. The man who integrates his Anima becomes more than masculine. He becomes whole. He no longer seeks salvation through the perfect woman, because he has found the feminine within. He can love clearly, without illusion. He can connect without clinging. He can walk with women as equals, not projections. And more than anything, he becomes available to life, to love, to his own heart. This is not just psychology, it is myth. It is alchemy. The sacred marriage of masculine and feminine, not in the world, but in the self. To meet the Anima is to begin the descent into your own soul. And once you meet her, you are never the same. Meet the Animus, the inner masculine in every woman. Within every woman, there is a man she cannot see. He is not her father. He is not her partner. He is something more elusive and more dangerous. He is the Animus, the masculine soul within the feminine psyche. Not a fantasy, not a role model, but a living force. A presence that speaks through thoughts, beliefs, and instincts. And too often, it speaks with authority. Carl Jung saw the animus as the unseen shaper of a woman's inner world, where the anima in men is emotion, image, and feeling. The animus is opinion, structure, law, and logic. He is the builder of ideas and the enforcer of standards. But when unconscious, he becomes a tyrant. He may appear as a voice inside her mind, a voice that says, "You're not enough. Work harder. Be better. Don't feel. Don't cry. Don't trust." He becomes her inner critic, dressed in the armor of reason. He silences her intuition, questions her softness, and ridicules her dreams. He convinces her that strength means control and love is weakness. This is the shadow of the animus, a man inside her who does not love her. And yet, she obeys him. She chases his approval. She tries to become the version of herself he says is worthy. Or he may appear another way. As the idealized male, the savior, the warrior, the flawless protector. She may yearn for a man who doesn't exist, chasing ghosts in lovers and expecting perfection where there can only be presence. In both forms, as critic or idol, the unconscious animus distorts her relationship to love, power, and truth. She may speak with borrowed words, defend borrowed truths, fight for borrowed ideals, all while her authentic voice remains buried, unheard beneath the noise. But when a woman becomes conscious of the animus, when she turns toward him not with fear but with curiosity, she begins a sacred and revolutionary process. She meets him not as an enemy, but as an ally in need of transformation. The animus, when integrated, becomes her inner strength, not domination. He gives her clarity without cruelty, conviction without arrogance, discipline without detachment. He becomes the part of her that acts, asserts, and protects, without crushing her softness. She no longer needs a man to complete her, because she has found the masculine within. She no longer reacts to the outer world from inner wounds. She no longer seeks permission to speak, create, or lead. Her words carry weight, not because they echo others, but because they arise from a union inside her. To meet the animus is to meet the builder of your inner temple, and to teach him, slowly, to bow to the queen within, because she is not here to be ruled. She is here to reign. The trickster, master of chaos and illusion. He comes when the path is too clear, when you think you've figured life out, when your identity feels polished, proper, and praised. That's when the trickster laughs and flips the entire table. He is the cosmic jester, the shadowy magician, the shapeshifter who hides behind irony, contradiction, and humor. Carl Jung called him the trickster archetype, an ancient energy embedded in every psyche, culture, and myth. You'll find him in Loki, in Hermes, in Coyote, but more importantly, you'll find him in you. He is the one who says what should not be said, who breaks rules to reveal truth, who exposes the sacred masks we wear, and makes us question if we've ever been real. But make no mistake, the trickster is not your enemy. He is your uncomfortable teacher. He enters through the cracks in your routine, through the accidents you swear weren't supposed to happen, through the joke that stings, through the failure that humbles, through the chaos that feels like punishment, but might just be liberation. He thrives on contradiction. He'll make you speak words you don't mean, so you can finally hear the ones you do. He'll tempt you to self-sabotage, not to destroy you, but to destroy who you're pretending to be. This is his sacred mischief, because behind every illusion you cling to, he knows there's something true waiting to be born. When the trickster is unconscious in your life, you may feel cursed, like your plans keep falling apart, like your relationships dissolve in strange, ironic ways, like you keep pushing away what you want most, and you don't even know why. This is self-sabotage, not from weakness, but from unacknowledged truth. The trickster inside you is tired of your performance. He is mocking your mask, because he wants you to remove it. And when you begin to listen, to see the humor in your own seriousness, to witness your patterns not with shame, but with curiosity, you begin to transform. You stop fearing mistakes. You embrace paradox. You allow life to surprise you, and even delight you. The integrated trickster becomes a source of genius, creative, adaptive, alive. He helps you navigate complexity, ambiguity, and reinvention. He knows that truth doesn't always wear a halo. Sometimes it wears a clown's nose. He doesn't offer comfort, but he offers freedom. Because the trickster's ultimate gift is this: to remind you that life is not meant to be controlled, but danced with. He tears down the false to awaken the real, and if you let him, his chaos becomes your creativity. His laughter becomes your awakening. You're not broken. You're becoming whole. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are not too much or not enough. You are simply becoming whole. There is a myth we've been taught, that life should be linear, tidy, and logical, that we should always be in control. That pain means failure. That confusion means weakness. But the soul does not unfold that way. The psyche speaks in symbols, in dreams, in archetypes, not in straight lines. Carl Jung knew this intimately. He understood that inside every human being lives an entire cast of characters. The Anima, the Animus, the Trickster, the Shadow, the Hero, the Wise Old Man. These are not flaws. They are not delusions. They are ancient blueprints, cosmic scripts that play out in the theater of your life, and when you do not recognize them, they run the show from behind the curtain. You find yourself repeating patterns that hurt you, chasing people who reflect your unconscious needs, avoiding emotions that beg to be felt, sabotaging love, craving power, fearing softness. You wonder why your life feels haunted, why your decisions seem foreign, even to you,